But yeah, bad business ideas. Let's talk about them. They happen every day. We have them. I had four this week. Who knows? What do you think, Daniel?
I think you shouldn't mix alcohol and LegalZoom.com. That's what I think, Mark. So my first company that I started was a drunken, like all great drunken mishaps. Me and a buddy were hanging out, drinking beer, and had one too many. Hopped on LegalZoom.com and started a company.
What company was it?
I don't want to mention the name because I like the name. I want to reuse the name one day.
Okay, well, what?
But so the business idea was it was like a REIT, a REIT. So it was like a real estate investment trust. But the business plan, when we finally got around to writing one, which you should have before you start a business, is it consisted of, okay, people are going to give us money, and then we're going to use the money to make money. Okay. So it was really like not thought out. It was.
How old were you?
I don't want to say because it was very recent. Dude, alcohol, LegalZoom.com, and business don't mix. Don't mix them ever. So make sure when you go to LegalZoom.com or wherever and you file for LLC, S Corp, C Corp, that you know what you're doing and you're sober. So I will say that there's potential in this company at some point in time, but it's not now.
You can have a good business idea that's just not practical. I mean, Daniel and I had one a couple of years ago, to create some kind of survivalist camp where, people would pay us to go rough it and to be possibly in danger, right? Fearing for their lives, like,
Oh.
picking berries and like, having it be some kind of maybe father son, like, if someone's wealthy, we would charge an extraordinary amount, of course. But if someone's wealthy, to come out there and just be like shocked for a weekend or a week-long vacation. And it's a cool idea, it would be interesting. It'd make a great movie, but it is not a viable business option especially for a low-cost startup. Like, it's just that the liability and the insurance alone would have put us in the red, like, right away.
I had a couple of those myself, so I can give two examples of bad business ideas. One, I was going to call Baseland, and it's for base jumpers, and it's like a 5-acre park with just a whole bunch of couple 100-foot towers where people can just base jump off of. Liability would have been horrible. Somebody would have died at this place. I guarantee it. At some point, the chute's not going to open, and some person is going to smack into the ground. And yeah, guess who's on the hook for that? So bad idea. Wasn't going to happen. Ton of capital up front. Yeah. So that was one idea. The second, I feel, what? Let me take a step back real quick before I say this. I feel like I'm on a game show now where all my ex-girlfriends are coming out. And they're like, do you remember me? I'm like, yeah, I remember you. God.
They're all coming out saying all the embarrassing things about you.
Right. So we're talking embarrassing things tonight, but it's fun. So the next bad idea I had, and I'm still floating around with, is get over the name first off. We were going to call it the Kill House, but it's like, in the military where they have shoot houses and you can go in and you can do, close quarters combat kind of drills. I was going to build a kill house that was like legit, like 9mm, 5.56, kill house for civilians. And I guarantee you somebody, maybe even me, would have been shot and killed. It's a terrible idea. But
it would have lived up to its name for sure.
Yeah. I can see the obituary now.
I'll give a silly example, which is, worm farming. Okay. Because I had the ideal situation at my last house. I could do it here, really. But people sell worms and worm castings and for vegetable garden growing and all that stuff, right? And so people sell worms on eBay. People are selling worms on eBay right now. It sounds so silly, and sometimes the simplest ideas can be really good. I'll tell you about one of my first businesses that I ever had. I was about 12 or 13 years old. I had been mowing lawns and stuff too, but I took the lawn mowing money And at school, it was forbidden to chew gum, have candy and lollipops and whatever else in school, right? But so that meant that there was a need for these things, right? So I took my lawn, because I read the rule book very carefully. I was pretty smart, and I was like, it's not forbidden to sell any of this stuff.
Oh my
It's
God.
forbidden to have it. See what I mean?
Yeah,
So I
yeah,
took my
yeah.
lawn mowing
You were
money,
a
and
drug dealer at 12.
I took my lawn mowing money, and I went. Someone in my family had access to Sam's Club, which was new there, at the
Yeah.
time, and I got in bulk gum, uh, Jolly Ranchers, and lollipops, and I would buy in bulk, and I would sell per piece. See, so I already understood, even though I didn't study business, like I already understood the idea of I'm buying wholesale, I'm selling retail with a little markup because of the forbidden nature of this product, right? Because not everybody has it on them all the time, but also people are starting to like, kiss girls and stuff like that. So, the minty fresh breath was a thing. And then having those things, was kind of cool to have lollipops and stuff like that. So, and I even hired a bodyguard. I even hired a bodyguard to go around with me. And look, I mean, I was I was a straight A kid, and I didn't understand, like I didn't at that point in time, like I had no idea what a drug dealer was or anything, so it wasn't like I was trying to be super nefarious about the whole thing, but that's what I was doing. And I see myself doing some of these business opportunities, and that would require the time, or is there a simpler alternative? Usually there's a simpler alternative that will get you there, like get you a half step there, um, to where you want to be.
Or you
And
might find yourself in a situation where other people have already taken that half step and you're coming into the game late.
yeah,
And
yeah.
so I had a thing where um, several years ago, chicken coops were a big thing. And so I had a connection in China, and we were importing in chicken coops. And these chicken coops were selling for like triple what what we're importing them for. And I'm like, well, maybe we can do this with other stuff. Flash forward like 2 years later, I'm thinking maybe we do this with other things. So I was looking online, and I ordered some cufflinks, I think, from Amazon, and it took like 12 weeks for them to show up. And I'm thinking, where are these coming from? And I look at the label, and the label says like, Weitao, Hsinchu province, like dude's legit. This cufflink came from frickin' China, some dude in China. And I
Yeah.
email the guy because it comes with a receipt. This, thank you so much, blah, blah, blah. I email the guy, and I'm like, hey man, let me buy 1,000 cufflinks, and I will house them in the US. And then when people buy your cufflinks, tell me, and then I will ship them to them. And then you just give me a cut. And the reply back was, that sounds great. Thanks. I've already subscribed to Fulfillment by Amazon. Fulfillment by Amazon. What the hell is that? Ah, Amazon, you did it one more time. So
Yeah,
Amazon offers FBA, or Fulfillment by
yeah,
Amazon, and it's free.
yeah,
And I'm like, you turds. Y'all
yeah. So
totally cut me off at the knees.
I've had so many business ideas. I mean, I have a business idea, when I take a shower. One of the important things that I've learned, um, over the years, and especially in the last 2 years, as I get a little more wise and a little less hair, a little more gray, is and where I see some return on some of my business ventures in the past, is it's really important to have some direction. It's really important to have some emphasis, and to not have, because I have business ideas all over the place, and then I have to stop and think, like, that's a really good idea. Wait a minute. Does that even fit into my universe? Because if it doesn't fit into my wheelhouse, my characteristics, my personality, my experience, my area of expertise, and into other things that I'm doing, then it may be a good idea, but it's not for me, right? Um, if it doesn't help me do some of my other business ventures, and obtaining that focus, because I didn't, when I was younger, oh man, I, I could have a bad business idea, good business idea, didn't matter, but I did not have that focus to filter out and say, well, I'm not going to do this one because I need to focus on this and see it through and see a return on investment before I go into the next thing. I'd be bouncing around all over the place. I mean, bad, bad business ideas. I got 20 of them. I got 10 good ones too, but I got 2 that suit my personality, my time, and stuff like that. So money won't fix a bad business idea or a bad implementation of a good business idea. Time or money won't fix a good, a bad business idea or a bad implementation of a good idea.
So I'm really process driven. I really am kind of picking up what you're putting down. When I now think of ideas for businesses, I don't know, I want to sell art on Etsy, and I'll go through the steps in order to, start selling art on Etsy, which is a thing that I think a lot of people do. I think that's a bad business idea because there's too much competition and everyone's raced themselves to the bottom, or they overcharge and they don't, explain the value of what they do. But that aside, you have a product, you make a lot of product, you have a system that builds the product quickly, still high quality. You go through all these steps, and at some point in the thought process, and it could be in the shower, like you said, for me, it's on the car ride to work, and it's on the car ride back, and it's on all the car rides in between the day to go to all the different meetings with all the different folks and clients. And I'm constantly thinking about the next idea and then going through all these steps. And then at some point it either breaks or I talk to the wife about it.
Oh.
And so, for example, the last bad idea, which might be a good idea, just not right now, was a distillery. So I like rum, and I was going to partner up with some of the folks that I deployed with in Afghanistan, and we were going to start a distillery. We were going to have this. We have this phenomenal rum. It's amazing, dude. It's really, really legit. And we were going to name it after one of the guys that we killed in Afghanistan. So we were going to name it in memory of that turd. And it was going to be real cool, 92 proof, old sailor style. It was going to be absolutely fantastic. And got to thinking about what it would take to do that legally. And it is too much cash, way too much cash. To get the cash, we took a step back and we're like, okay, so Bacardi, Appleton Estate, all these other rum places, they wholesale unproofed white rum. And then you can import that into the US, and then you can flavor it, proof it, sell it. And it's kind of turnkey if you have the marketing. And we were looking at the cost of importing it. And so it's like $1.25, like 75 cents to $1.25 per gallon to import this stuff, which is super cheap. And you have to buy 50-gallon barrels of it. And so my wife was going to have to approve like 30, 50-gallon barrels of unproofed white rum in the basement. Imagine that conversation. I had that conversation. And so we were looking over the numbers, and that's where the thought process failed. So all these different steps led up to, okay, well, we'd have to do this. Okay, contact the distributors, contact the importers, all this other stuff. We were talking about margins, and the margins are so razor thin for booze. It's ridiculous. You would have to do like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of bottles a week just to make enough money to keep going, and to make it worth your time where you could like quit everything else or hire someone else. I mean, you got to have millions up front to do the marketing and advertising and labeling and bottling and distribution.
But that's not to say that there are plenty of bad business ideas that have just taken off, Being in your field of expertise is really important. Like me being a worm farmer, that's cool. What happens when I have some difficulties? Like, what happens when customers complain? What happens when I try to talk to like someone that's growing organic vegetables? Do I know enough about their needs, their wants, what they're willing to pay for and not pay for? No, I am not.
Who bought your worm farm?
dude, nobody bought my freaking worm farm. It was like
Just
up,
joking.
it was
I don't
up,
know.
up and down. Like it was up and then it was done for. Really, I tried to get someone else to run it, and that didn't work. So
I can't imagine what that job description looked like. Where did you post a job description for an
no, I
intern
tried to
worm
get, it was
farmer?
more like an indentured servitude kind of thing. Like it
Indentured
was more
servitude. Oh
more
God.
like
If
it
you're
was
an
more like I had
indentured
a
servant
lodger.
and you're pissed off about what Mark said, put your comments below.
Yeah.
We read all of
It's more
them.
like I had a lodger and I wanted them to like make something of themselves, so I created a business
And you thought a step up for this dude is a worm farmer?
based around their labor. No, look,
Sir, I'm sorry. I know things are tough right now. I know you're trying to, bring yourself up a level in society. Have you considered indentured servitude?
yeah, worm
There's a
farming.
great worm farm position available just a couple feet away.
I know. That's pretty much how it was. But look, as embarrassing as some of my bad business ideas have been, I did buy a bookstore on a whim. Yes, I put time and effort into it, and then I sold it like 9 months later for a decent profit. And it's still there. Someone is still working it, and I still go there, and he he loves it. Will I have a bookstore again? No, I'll have a book barn, a giant barn full of, they're more prominent in the Northeast where there's dairy farms, but a lot of times you see a book barn. It'll just be full. I'd like to have a more of a place where like you have uh, a place where like bands can play and stuff too. It's more of a center of the community. Like bookstores used to be a very big center of the community. Maybe I'll do that again. Maybe I won't. Maybe that's a good idea. Maybe it's not. But at least it's in my realm. Like I write books. I publish books. Like it's okay for me to own a bookstore. It's fine. Now, if I say, yeah, I'm going to start, breeding alligators. Like, that's not really it may be profitable somewhere somehow, but it's not really a part of what I do or what my expertise in.
It's
So
not the Mark brand.
I want another bad business idea from Daniel though. Now that I've
This is a bad idea. You might find this funny. My very first venture into business was at a yard sale that my parents had. I think I mentioned this a couple like last week or something with you. So my parents had a yard sale, and I, for whatever reason, I was so young, I didn't understand the concept of money yet. That's how little I was, but I understood numbers. And so I was going around to all these objects that my parents had put dollar amounts to. And I'm like, why are they charging this amount? And so I got a hold of a Sharpie and I would put zeros behind all the numbers. And so I'm like, well, why not? Right. You pay for what it costs. So who cares if it was now, $40,000 instead of $4? I just made $40,000. And so this little old lady is like picking up all these like little trinkets on the table, and she looks it up and then kind of goes away. And I made I think my Aunt Claudia was helping out, and she had to go behind me and like fix all of the numbers and whatnot. So that was a bad business idea.
Hey, but let me look, to try to close it out though. Like I want to ask something, because I feel like I've learned from my mistakes just as much as my successes. My bank account may not say the same, right? But are bad business ideas like hurtful? I mean,
I
are
think
they
it depends.
harmful?
I think if you know when to quit, like if you're a slot machine
Yeah,
and you know when to quit, then
that's
it could be a good idea. I mean, an MBA is going to cost you money. And I feel like you can either start a couple businesses and fail and maybe succeed, or you can go to business school and get an MBA. And I personally think it's like 50-50.
yeah,
You just got to know when to quit.
yeah. Yeah, I think that that's a whole nother post too. Know when to quit. That's gonna be like the title of another blog post
That'd be a
because
fantastic. Know when to, entrepreneurs, nightly entrepreneur, know when to quit.
know when to quit. Yeah, know when
We're
to
here to
quit.
motivate you.
It's that's a that's a whole nother can of worms that we'll definitely get to another time for our listeners because it's a good one to know. You don't always know when that's going to happen, but look, bad business ideas, don't be afraid of them. I mean, shoot the breeze, throw darts to the wall. Find like-minded people that are interested or have the same expertise as you, and throw darts at the wall. You never know what you're going to come up with. The worst idea can actually be somehow the best idea. If it's implemented well, if you go through proper planning and you're just like, that idea is so crazy, it's like the best thing ever, and that can certainly happen. And you can't be afraid to try things out and fail, but certainly you don't want to bank your whole existence on one idea, because it may be like your third or fourth idea that makes you a millionaire. You never know. And through proper implementation, sometimes that's the only way you're going to figure it out. So hopefully something, with all of our embarrassment, hopefully somebody somewhere got something out of this and at least was entertained by I have even more. I have a whole list of bad business ideas and things that I've actually done, and so does Daniel. But hopefully, you get something out of this, and don't be afraid of them, but know when they happen. Right? I think that's probably good advice.
Yeah, I agree with that.
All right.
Well, cool.
Yeah. Next week, who knows what we're going to do? We were supposed to do domain names tonight, people. So maybe next week we'll do domain names instead of bad business ideas. But I enjoyed our time together, and I hope you learned something. So we'll see you next week.